Good morning, children. Anuradha Datar. On behalf of S. Union High School and Junior College, I welcome all my dear friends to attend the geography class. Stay home, stay safe. Social distancing and wearing a mask is a must, and that's why we are enjoying online teaching. Geography textbook. Make sure you have your geography textbook with attentive mind and willingness to learn and study in my online class. Let us start with the new topic. After studying the structure of the ocean floor, let us learn something more about the oceans. We already know that 70% of the Earth's surface is covered by water bodies. It is very important to save this water. The mission is to save water, and therefore it is very important not only learn for the 8th standard to save water. It should be your way of life. Before start learning about the ocean currents, I would like to make you all aware that we are gifted with the blue planet. It is our responsibility to make a sustainable, happy living. This will be only possible once you accept the challenge, and it will be helpful for you and me and for the mankind. Therefore, let us study the new topic, ocean currents. This is a part of your textbook. They have shown an experiment and then they have tried to identify what are the factors which affects the ocean current and what is the ocean current. There are the small plastic pieces in the tree. They move around, and that is how we have to learn about why the water moves from one place to another place. The reason behind it. What are the basic factors which leads to the development of ocean currents? Someone has said that we live by currents, plan by tides, and follow by the sun. The study of ocean currents is such an important topic for a common man and for all of us. It is very important to know what are ocean currents. In a layman's language, we can say that ocean currents are a giant rivers of sea water flowing within the ocean. Ocean currents flow in a circular path. Warm currents carry water from low to high altitude. This makes land nearby warmer, whereas cool currents carry water from high latitude to the low latitude, and this makes lands nearby colder. Isn't it a very interesting fact? The distribution of water which circulates around with certain geographical factors which we find. Let us define what are ocean currents. An ocean current can be defined as an horizontal movement of unusually cold or warm surface of water to a depth of about 100 meters. Ocean currents are driven by circulation of wind, surface waters. Frictional stress of the interface between the ocean and the wind causes the water to move from direction of the wind. By knowing these factors, ocean current is related to the movement of water. What are the factors which are responsible for this ocean current? There is a map in front of you which expresses about the mass movement of ocean water from one part of the ocean to the another part, which allow the circulation of water. I have given here there are two types of current, that is warm current and cold current. It carries the characteristic from where to where the water is flowing, and that will be the type of the water. Whether it will be a warm or a cold, it is found from the region where the water originates and start moving. To understand this, there is a great science behind it. The science which tells us about the physical geography, which plays a very important role. Here in the list, I have purposely written the temperature which is being experienced at a place plays a very important role. The another important point purposely have written separate than sun, that is the intensity of the sun which result in evaporation of the water, which leads or which helps to find out the salinity. All these are factors which are interrelated to each other. The salinity, the winds, Coriolis force, the gravity and topography of the ocean floor are the few just highlighted the factors. And all these factors are interdependent on each other and plays a very important role in affecting or the formation of ocean current which moves from one place to another place. Let's learn something about the ocean current. There is always a cause and effect relation. What is the cause? The other will be the effect. The cause? We know that the earth rotates. The rotation of the earth is the basic movement. And because of this, the rotation of the earth, the wind blows. Because of the wind which blows not only on the land and the water, it allows water to mixes, lead to changes the density. The effect, the currents which are being formed. A simple example, if I will take a glass of water or water in a plate and I will blow air on it with the help of straw, we found the ripples which are being formed. Exactly, the air blown on the water depending upon the density, the salinity, the warmth of the water, the movement of the water will take place. In the same way, we found the movement of ocean water which flows from one place to another place by knowing the characteristic of the water which is having in the region. So let us study the first important factor about the sun. We know that the Earth axis is a tilted axis. It is tilted at 23.5 degrees, and that is why we found an apparent movement of the sun taking place. The sun rays are not vertical throughout the year at a place because of the shape of the earth. We already have studied. The sun rays for a part of the year, whether it is in Uttarayan or Dakshinayan, we found changes in the different seasons which experience leads to experience the different type amount of temperature that leads to the distribution of temperatures and formation of isohalines indirectly. It also affects the isotherms which are being found in the region. The next important factor, because of the sun rays, the whole of the earth which is we have divided into the few different regions we call as a torrid zone, and this torrid zone we see that near along the equatorial belt the temperature is which is very high. For example, the land between equators toward the Tropic of Cancer and Capricorn, we call it the zone which is experiencing a hot climatic condition. Whereas I move away from the equator, about 23.5 degrees north to 66.5 degrees north and 23.5 degrees south, that is Tropic of Capricorn, to the 66.5 degrees south, we found there is a warm, the climate is not hot, the climate is warm. Near the polar region, the climate which is having a very cold type of climate. We say hot and cold climate. and in that between we always have the warm climate. We also have the differences which is being given in this, which results in origin of the different types of current, the characteristic features which are being found in this place. When the colder climate becomes farther away from the equator, the colder is the climate. As we move away from the cold region, we found the areas where, because of a low temperature, there will be the high pressure, and because of the high temperature near the equatorial margin, will have the low pressure. I purposely got this because this affects the circulation of ocean currents and our other factors. The earth has two forces. One is rotation and one is revolution. The earth, it rotates around its axis, and we call, because of the tilted axis, there is a Coriolis force which exists. The changes invented in the path of the moving bodies, the winds and the current. The Earth's rotation is faster at the equator than the poles is another important factor which we have already learned. This motion, because of this movement of the Earth, the winds which moves in the northern hemisphere to the right hand side and which moves in the southern hemisphere to the left hand side. This also leads an interesting fact which we are going to study about gyres, Gyres. There are the different ways to pronounce this, but I'm pronouncing it gyres, and the belt which come into an existence. The wind and the ocean currents, again, a same thing which is explained in a different way. It is such an important topic. Coriolis force, the wind are such an important topic one has to understand. The force is the greatest at the pole and least at the equator. This is because the Earth's approximately a spherical shape. The Earth's rotation produces force on all the bodies and moving relative to the Earth. The force called as an Coriolis force, and this is called as a Coriolis effect, causing the direction of the wind. And therefore, we are having the westward winds, which is called as an westerlies, and the winds which are moving, we call it as an easterlies or the eastern trade winds. Now we also know that these winds influences the type of ocean currents. There is an upwelling current which we have shown in the diagram, which is a diagram which explains to us how these currents move. They come under the influence of the wind, that is the surface current, move in the different directions. Let us understand the important fact about it. The Coriolis effect, because it is in the northern hemisphere, they blow in the clockwise direction, and because of this, the winds move in the anti-clockwise direction in the southern hemisphere. Now, this is shown in the Pacific and the Indian Ocean is an interesting factor one has to understand. So, ocean current is nothing but that moves a large in a circular system. Ocean currents affect the temperature and precipitation of an area. The warm ocean currents make surrounding areas warmer and rainy, whereas cool ocean currents make surrounding areas cooler and drier. One has to know about it. The ocean currents play a very vital role in the type of economic activities which are being carried out in the region. It support navigation, it support to carry out water transport. If there is a cold water, it leads to the formation of fog, or because of these, the mixing of current, the different activities, and one of the most important activity like fishing, which is developed. Definitely, we are going to study about the influence of ocean currents on the man or the human life. A quick review what I talked to you just now. The place I've shown you on the map, and this map we are having the different types of currents. The continents are separated by the water bodies, and the blue part or the blue dotted lines or the arrows shows us about the cold current, whereas the currents which originate from the equator wards and moves in the north and south are the warm ocean current. I hope I have tried to explain to you about it. So please do not forget and make sure you remember this and learn these factors. These factors might not be explained in your book. If you liked, please subscribe my channel and press the bell icon. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you.